So again, I repeat that EOF can be inserted 2 or 3 times. It depends. Normally, EOF is used to indicate the end of the lexeme or token, or end of the token or lexeme, or end of the buffer. So it tells the scanner that कि भी इसके बाद में पढ़ने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है, like this. So this is how sentinels are used. So we shall see what is theoretical things. So the large number of characters that must be processed during the compilation of a large source program. Specialized buffering techniques are used to reduce the amount of overhead required to process a single input character. If you read character by character from the secondary storage, it will create the overhead on the compilation process. Instead of that, you copy the source code into some fixed length buffer. Normally, what is size of buffer? So normally it is some size of disk block. See, disk block depends on different systems or operating system. Even as an installer, when you install some operating system, you can configure the disk block, like when you partition or format your hard disk, maybe in NTFS or ext2 or ext3. So different types of file formats are there. FAT60, FAT32, these are the file formats. So disk block is there. So normally, let us say that K4096 bytes is the length of one buffer. So it is a pretty sufficient to bring a part of source code. Your source code may be larger. You can bring and copy your part of your source code from in buffer. And once you read that buffer, you can delete the contents. You can bring another part of source code into the buffer. So this is how scanning goes on. This is in single buffer scheme. Now, just see the diagram 3.4, that is a downward. So here, you just assume that there is some dark line is there after EOF. It means that this is actually these are two buffers, 3.4, figure number 3.4. So पहला जो block है, that is a n size, and second block starts with C up to EOF, that is a n size, means total n, 2n size is there. So on the left side, I have interpreted that E is equal to MC square, like this. So this is our ordinary representation. This is a Fortran-like representation. So what first n is telling you that कि पहले इसमें E और M और स्टार इतना ही पार्ट है, बाद में EOF आता है. So ये पहला बफर हो गया. So what is happening when a scanner reads first buffer? So this is the first buffer, this is second buffer of size n. So it starts reading from left to right until EOF. So EOF may tell that it is the end of the contents of source code. And even EOF is used to indicate the end of lexeme. So when you start reading the first part of the buffer, so during that time, you can fill the remaining part. That is called as a look ahead. See, what is the concept of look ahead? You fill the remaining part of your source code into second buffer, which starts with C star star to EOF, like. So this EOF, first EOF tells you that this is the end of the program, and rest, then you don't need to read these blank cells. And last EOF is there, it tells you that it is the end of the buffer, like this. So this is the use of Sentinel. So Sentinel can be used to tell you the end of the lexeme, as well as it tells you end of the buffer. So in 3.4 diagram, two buffers are there. Please, I don't know whether you are able to see it or not, but there is a clear line. So here vertical lines are dotted, but here after EOF there is a dark line. It means that this is the first part n size buffer, and after that EOF This is another n size buffer. Means two buffers are there. Pair. That we call it as a pair of buffer. So normally we don't read the both buffers at a time. We first process the first buffer until the end. So while reading the first buffer, we fill up the second part of the buffer by remaining code. तो हम लोग क्या करते हैं? When you read second buffer from left to right until EOF, तो at that time what will happen? अगर आपका कोड बहुत बड़ा है, तो आप क्या करेंगे? While reading this second buffer, you will erase the content of first buffer and you will bring again remaining part of your source code into first buffer. That is called as a like look ahead operation. और जब तक आप इसको रीडिंग प्रोसेस करते हैं, because what you are doing, you are reading and identifying the tokens. During that, if your program is more larger, then you will fill the second buffer. So in this way, you do it. So you read from one buffer. During that time, you load the remaining part of the buffer like this. Switching is there from first buffer to second buffer. So this is called as a multi-way branching. So actually this is algorithm. So in beginning, you may find that this algorithm is not but it is very simple. So as I told you that first buffer is there and second buffer is there, means you are forwarding, means you are reading the first buffer and during that you are loading the second buffer. Then LCP is there, like, so you go through this code and then you will understand how this is happening. So I already told you in a explanation that how it works. How it works? It loads some part of the code into first buffer. During that, you start processing the first buffer. So when you process first buffer, in that time, you load remaining part of your code into second buffer like this. Once you finish the first buffer, you start reading or processing the second buffer. And in that time, if there is a remaining code, you load that code into first buffer like this. This is the algorithm. So that is given in this slide. So actually it doesn't matter in what order we list the cases for each character. In practice, the multi-way branch depending on the input characters is made in one step by jumping to an address found in the array of addresses. So this is the algorithm. You can go through the book also, you will get this algorithm. So anyway, so I was talking about the tricky problems. So here are some tricky problems. If you read the first character as a minus, then there might be a symbol like a greater than symbol. This is arrow, or it implied symbol is there mathematically. If you read single character minus, compiler don't assume immediately, or scanner don't think that it is a minus symbol or subtraction. It reads the look ahead, means next symbol. अगर समझो माइनस के बाद में अगर ग्रेटर देन साइन है, इसका मतलब है कि इट इज नॉट अ माइनस, इट इज अ implied sign. If you read equal to, तो equal to is a assignment operator, but equal to के बाद में फिर से और एक equal to है, इसका मतलब क्या है? It is a binary or a boolean equal to. If like, then if you read less than sign, तो less than sign के बाद में equal to sign आ सकता है, less than, greater than, like that. So in this way, that's why forward pointer and begin pointers are important. So compiler doesn't read and concludes. It first reads the near or next character, and it checks whether it belongs to it or not. Like, so we have seen this example, 2 stars. Means when you read C, means you identify that C is a token, right? But you start reading the first star. Now first star means actually it is a multiplication sign. Compiler or scanner will say that it is a multiplication, M into C into something, but it don't take the decision. It moves the forward pointer ahead, one place ahead. Exam का beginning pointer यहीं पे रहेगा, but forward pointer will be moved ahead, and it will read next star. Once it reads the next star, it will say that no, it is an exponent symbol. It is not a multiplication symbol. Like this. This is called as a tricky problem. I hope you got this. So these are the cases. मतलब माइनस के बाद में क्या आएगा, इक्वल टू के बाद में दूसरा इक्वल टू आया तो क्या होगा, या फिर लेस देन सिंबल के बाद में अगर इक्वल टू आता है तो क्या होगा, लाइक so there are some operators like this and there are some operators like this also. मीन्स ब्लू वाला ऑपरेटर्स है और रेड वाले भी ऑपरेटर्स है. So that's why the scanning is a complex process. So why I am saying that the scanning process is complicated or crucial and important. Reason is that if compilation is a process, actually it is a complex process. It contains number of phases. Then if you have a source code, it will take some time to lexically analyze it. Then it will take some time to syntactically analyze it. Then semantic analysis is there. Then synthesis is there. So all phases take different time. So please note that around 30% of compilation time. Compile time means what? First phase to last phase जितना भी time लगता है, उसमें से 30% time is normally required for lexical analysis. So it is around 50%. And that's why these things are very important to understand. So lexical analysis process is takes around 25 to 30% of the total compile time. We shall see later what is the compile time and run time. So scanner is that it is the only part of the compiler that examines entire input program from first character to last character. Disk input is slow, that's why we are using the buffering method. In buffering also, one buffering scheme is there and two buffering schemes are there. So one buffering scheme is definitely not time, it's a good, but two buffering scheme is a better because we can do look ahead loading of the buffers. Now look ahead has a term, this is a very important term. We shall see every time when this word comes, it has some context. So at least in this context, we look ahead means what we are thinking about the next symbol, whatever we are reading, that is there. But while learning the grammar, we shall see that LR grammar, LRK grammar, LLK grammar, or LL1 grammar, LL2 grammar, like, so that K is look ahead symbol, we shall see what is that. But same concept is there. So scanner uses double buffering to minimize the overhead associated with scanning process. Scanning process is for identifying or reading the lexeme and identifying the type of token. टोकन फिक्स है, 5 या 6 टाइप की टोकन है. Now again, there is a concept that you can imagine that there is a circular buffer, or you might have learned about the queue, circular queue. So again, I repeat that EOF is used here. Two buffers are shown here. The begin pointer is there. For example, here count is there, COUNT. Now please imagine that in first buffer, it is not possible to accommodate complete word. So what is happening is that we are starting with C. So begin pointer is here, and we are reading COUN, and this is the end of the buffer. That's why it is a AOF. And now there is a beginning of the second buffer. So second buffer में T है, मतलब बचा हुआ part. So what is happening here? Begin pointer and forward pointer starts. The begin pointer will be keep here. It will lie on C, but forward pointer will be process character by character. Once it encounters the EOF in first buffer, it will assume that कि ये buffer हो गया खत्म, अब नया buffer read करो. It will go switch to the next buffer. So it will read T completely. Then again it will check whether there is something next to T or not. So again forward pointer will be moved one place ahead. So now there is a blank. So in this way, scanner understands that this is the end of the token. That is a complete token is a COUNT. Now please note here, COUN, these four words are in first buffer, and T is in the beginning of the second buffer, like this. So beginning pointer is already in first buffer, and forward pointer is in second position of second buffer, like this. So this is how sentinels are used. Sentinel is used to indicate the end of the buffer as well as end of the lexeme. Right. So this is a good example where some part of the code is in a first buffer and remaining part of the code is in second buffer. But you cannot assume that कि पहले buffer में जो है उतना ही मतलब lexeme है, because the scanner matches this string. Actually, COUNT is a lexeme, the content of the word token, and it matches with the regular expression. So regular expression will tell that COUN is not a token. COUNT is a token. That is how scanner works. We shall see later somewhere that how regular expressions are used to identify a lexeme and then token. So you can call this COUN first part is as a pattern and T as a second pattern. But when you attach these two patterns, then it becomes a lexeme, complete lexeme. I think too much time we have consumed, but let us go with this second slide. But I just want to tell you what is a lexical analysis and what is actually we are thinking that different functions of different phases, but actually all functions are integrated with each other. You cannot say that lexical analysis is a totally independent thing. Whatever you do in lexical analysis impacts syntax analysis. Whatever you do in syntax analysis, whatever functions, whatever operations you do in syntax analysis, if you don't do it properly, it will affect the performance of the semantic analysis. So in this way, all these phases means input of the phases, every phase has output, and processing is there. So all phases are affecting performance of other phases. So this is a thing. So let us say this is the source code. This is the expression statement. So this is read by the lexical analyzer or scanner. Are you listening me? Is it too much, Mr. Miss? I think 1 hour is over. I request you just, I will not take more than 5 minutes or 2 minutes. You just raise for a moment, raise your hand and just put down your hand so that I will continue it. So Anish Raj is there, Abhishek is there, Aman is there. So anyway, many people are listening me. Thank you. So what I want to say that there is a source code. Source code is read by the lexical analyzer. Lexical analyzer reads the source code character by character and identifies the token. Now here 5 plus 7 into x is there. So 5 is a number, 7 is a number, and x is there. Actually, x is a variable or identifier. So it identifies it as a token. So this thing is nothing but token plus operator, opening bracket operator, multiplication operator, and closing bracket operator. So in this way, token of streams is generated in scanning. Now this is linked with the parsing. So I said that the string of token, whatever is generated by a scanner, is fed as an input to the syntax analyzer or parser. So let us say every language has some grammar. So for example, here some simple grammar is there. So there is only one non-terminal E and some right side is there, LHS and right side. So ID is there, ID means identifier, NU means number, E plus E, E star E, and bracket E and closing bracket is there. So let us say these are the 5 production rules. So parser processes this stream of tokens. And what happens? Parser processes this string of tokens and it uses the derivations. It may use leftmost derivation, rightmost derivation. It depends on type of parser. Whether a parser is a top-down parser or a bottom-up parser, or it may be recursive descent parser, it may be predictive parser or whatever. We are just learning the concept. So it uses grammar rules of a given language and it parses the given string of tokens. So like this. So it generates the parse tree. We call it as a syntax tree. So last time I have told you how the syntax tree is generated. So syntax tree generation is nothing but it's a application of derivations or sequence of the production rule application to given statement. So let us say you are exploring E plus E, then bracket E, then E star E like this. So in this way, if you traverse this tree from the left side like this, number plus opening bracket, number star ID, closing bracket, and like this. If you go like this, use style, then you will reveal that it is matching to the original program statement. It will match to the source code. So this is how it works, compiler works. Now in this example, we are taking only one sentence or one statement, but just imagine that a source code may contain 100 or 10 or 7 instructions. So that thing is done at a time by the compilation. Means first it is a scanner will generate a string of tokens. It will apply the production rules as whatever the production rules are there, because normally it is a CFG grammar, and it will generate the parse tree. So actually this is a tree, another tree. You just take the snapshot of this. So it is simplified version of syntax tree or parse tree. So number plus 7 into X. So this is representing the complete program statement, program code. This is simplified. We shall see later what is an annotated parse tree or AST. It is not an abstract syntax tree, actually annotated syntax tree. So every time, so for example, if during the lexical analysis, there can be occurrence of some error, like lexical error. We shall see what are different types of lexical error, or you can just go through the previous slides. So it reports Scanner reports lexical errors. Parser report syntax errors. Syntax error मतलब क्या? If you are not able to generate a parse tree for a given statement, it means that there is some grammatical problem. Some grammatical problem like this. So that is reported by parser. So this is a view. So anyway, I will stop here, and I'm very thankful that you listened me. I suggest, I many times tell you, but I found a very response from very few students. Please always send me screenshots when I talk, when you see my video. I want to understand what is happening on your side, whether you are able to receive me correctly or not. Many people might be using mobile phones, but I suggest, at least for learning second unit and third unit, you require a laptop, because you cannot understand through mobile phone screens. Mobile phone is insufficient. If you are using mobile phone, put it like this, horizontal or landscape mode, and then watch. Because after this, we are going to learn about parsing tables. Parsing tables are very huge tables. So it is very hard to read the contents of table, just like it is a transition table, but it contains lot many entries. So due to fonts and other problems, you may not be able to understand what is happening there. So I suggest use a desktop at least from next week, and you will miss or later you can download the PPTs and you can see with your comfort on your machine. So I hope you have sent me responses, screenshots. I'm thankful to you, and we shall see later things in next session. So please, if you have any doubt, you just put directly, don't hesitate, just put that doubt in on my personal WhatsApp. I will definitely answer, or even you can bring me. So thank you. I am ending this session. Thank you very much.